by request, and I've had quite a few requests for this video. We're going in poor. We're going in poor. Be careful with that. On one hand, throwing your wealth around here, and I'll talk in a moment about relative wealth, but generally talking about or flashing beyond a reasonable level how rich you are or might be or whatever, generally a bad idea here. Off the top of my head, you're going to attract the money-hungry ladies. I mean, that's up to you. I mean, a guy can, if he's a true playboy, and nothing wrong with that. You want to do what you want to do. Throw around some money, get a flashy car, and you'll have all kinds of ladies flocking to you all the time, and you'll never be alone on Friday or Saturday night or Tuesday night, for that matter. So, you can. But if my channel is all about a guy trying to reset his life and find actual, real care, a guy that loses his job has got to be 72 times more likely to get divorced than a guy who just got promoted or took over the company, I'll bet you. Does anybody know a statistic on that? That's got to be interesting. But you get where I'm going with that. But you have to be careful. The other thing is if you, on the other end, if you go too poor, what can happen is the Thai women are sharp and they pay attention. And I don't put anybody on a pedestal anymore. I've done that, and that's never worked, and it was never correct. So no pedestals for anybody, but they're sharp and they pay attention because they have to, out of necessity, because this is a male-centric culture. I've proven that in other videos. You can look at my cultural videos and stuff and decide that for yourself. If you choose to disagree, good luck to you, and that's fine. I don't really care. But the Thai women are aware that some of us, maybe many of us, whatever, really aren't doing all that great financially, and that's in fact why we're here. And that no woman that's really thinking straight is going to deliberately seek out a poor guy. That's like a guy saying, gee, I need to find a really ugly lady. I mean, nobody. It's all some level of subconscious of a richer guy and a prettier woman. I think that's just how it works around the whole planet. I've had a little bit of, is that a red pill or what is that called? I don't buy into all of that, but I definitely buy into some of it, and I that's just based on experience. We've learned that empirically, as they say in scientific circles. Let me give you my experience a little bit. I went in poor for the reason that I actually was a little poor when I got here. I did not have my full retirement settled financially until I was here, maybe roughly 2 years ish, give or take. And I lived on monthly about 45,000 baht per month. Yeah, I went beyond that. I had savings I could pull from and all that, but it was painful and expensive to do that. So I did not do that too often. And Fawn was fine with all that. Fawn, and so it did kind of work, I guess, because Fawn wanted care. She wanted, let me not make it so personal about her, but her situation was typical. And so we'll just we'll cover it from that angle. But typically a woman who's been divorced, and it's got to be 90-10, the Thai man leaves the Thai woman. I mean, I haven't yet. I'm sure it happens. In fact, I do know one story off the top of my head. I do actually know one story. But I know one versus 40 the other way. So mostly when a Thai woman's divorced, that's a nice way of saying that her husband left her, which is a massive loss. Even if the guy was a worm, and let me assure you that was Fawn's case, it's still a loss of face that, geez, the guy left you, And so they want to save face. They want to have a man. Where's your man? Check the box. Where you don't have a man? How come you don't have a man? You're not worthy of one. You can't get one. You're not pretty enough. What? So they want that. they're looking for financial support. I hate to drop these truth bombs on people and shattering people's reality like that. That's tough. But women like financial support. Isn't that funny? And it's just like my home state of Michigan and like every state in the United States and then every province of Thailand. Funny. Financial support. I did not give her any allowance, and that's not. Allowances are tough here. I have a video on giving money to Thai women. It's an older video, but it's pretty good. That's a sticky wicket because scammers will ask for money, obviously, and they got 5 other foreigners on the line, and they schedule when they're with whom. And even if you live here all the time, they got the 1 or 2 others you don't know about that they go and visit when they're visiting their sick mama. Yeah, they're at a hotel with a guy, and you probably gave her hotel money for that. That's evil, and that's not uncommon. So you watch your lady's time, please. So, I mean, in general, financial support's kind of a rough thing, and you do have to just. A lot of it will be common sense based. I'll try and cover what exceptions I can think of, but they will be looking for financial support. And so in my case, I did not give any allowance to Fuan for, I think it was past the first 18 months. It might have been around the 2-year mark. I gave her a small allowance every month. What I did before that is many Thai women, I'll just say, are slowly going into debt. That's a very common thing. Life is expensive here for them, and they take out these life loans, and they have relatively easy access to a lot of loans. In my opinion, and both legal and illegal. And the illegal ones are really predatory. And then they just slowly go into debt. Their tires wear out on their car. That's a big problem here. They buy a new car. They finance it for their entire lifetime. They're literally called life loans. And then that's great, but the tires don't last the life of the car. And then that's a real big problem because tires cost the same here as they cost in the United States. And so here they're 5 times as expensive. Imagine a set of tires back home costing you $3,000-$4,000 for a little Toyota. And you go, geez, I got to come up with that money, It's like that. So I actually did that for her car. Her car was due a major service, and I paid the entire major service because she would have no way to pay that on her own without borrowing. And I would put gas in the car regularly. I almost all on a rare day she'd put gas in, but I covered most of the gas. It just that gave her, without me putting her on an allowance, that gave her a little extra breathing room financially. Before. Here's a classic example. Before I entered her life, when she had certain mandatory have-tos, like paying for her kids were enrolled in a better than the average school, but not like a fancy school by any stretch. The school is extremely affordable, I'll just say. But for her, it was a big bill. And so she had to watch that bill and watch what she ate and watch how far she drove the car for gas. If the gauge was ticking down, then you couldn't take the car. She needed to walk more, ride a bicycle more, whatever it was. And then make sure that those big have-tos were paid, a utility bill, whatever it is, had to do all that. Now, after I entered, then she could live a more normal life. Hey, everyone at work is going for out for lunch, and it's $1.50 US for each person at the restaurant. Hey, now she could go. Before she could not go, now she can go. You see what I'm saying? So there was little assistance like that. So she was looking for that. So she had a guy in her life. She gets a guy in her life. She gets minor general financial assistance. And another thing is, for Thai women, navigating the culture on their own has a lot of challenges. Their lives are rather hard. A good Isan woman is a hardworking woman. I should circle back to that. So to kind of wrap that end of it up, I mean, there was this general low-level assistance, which you can see where before she was kind of just slowly sinking down, which is a very common thing here. Now she was kind of treading water, and she was fine. She wasn't in any way profiting off of me, but there you go. And then there was some face saving too, because I wanted to go to dinner twice a week because I could afford to go to a nice dinner twice a week, and I was living in a tiny little cheap rental room. Her rental room, by the way. I rented a room from her when a few months after I was here, by the way, and then we got extremely close after that. There, I get to ask that question all the time, and that probably shed some light on it. And so I got a little bored of living in that little tiny room. Jay, Rob, why'd you live in such a tiny little room? 1, I was financially challenged. 2, I was in significant 24-hour pain from a failed spinal surgery, which, let me tell you, ouch, that really hurts. I got it fixed, and I'm still healing, and that was almost 2 years ago. So we did all that, and that helped her. And during this whole time too, she's helping me. You got to understand. I mean, she was helping me heal. I wasn't a whole lot of fun. I was a ton of care and feeding. I was like having a pet rhinoceros or something. I needed, food, medical care, appointments, all kinds of stuff, being driven to all kinds of places, MRIs, X-rays, figuring out, what the heck happened? Why am I in so much pain? It was just, I wouldn't say nightmare, but I was an enormous amount of work, and she did it. And honestly, I took her for granted at times because she never complained. She just was always there, always doing, always helping, never complaining. How many people have you known in your life like that? I don't need one hand to count the number of people that have been there like that for me. That's a dang short list, right? So she was really good. That's a good Thai Isan woman, and they're great. So back to this going in poor concept. So I did go in poor, and it did work because I did have a couple of ladies I was dating at the same time I was dating Fawn. And, I was moving slow on things, and some people didn't like that. And that created for me some breathing room where I could see better. Like, if something comes at you really fast, you don't see it very well in life. If someone kind of pulls the wool over your eyes fast enough, it's harder to see. Whereas when you're going slow, like avoiding a traffic accident at 30 miles an hour is way easier than at 130 miles an hour. It bought me time to think. And I had I'll tell you, I had whittled it down. Long-term viewers know this little fact, but I had whittled it down to my final 4 ladies, and one scammer snuck into that final 4. Out of those 4, one was an actual scammer. By going slow, I figured out, because she had 2 condos. She had one condo here at the Change in Korat, which I do like. That's a nice facility. No bad memories about the facility or anything. It's a nice place. In fact, if you're looking for a condo in Korat, that's always my first recommendation to somebody. Also, Fawn does rent her rooms, but you got to pass our screening test. We're going to screen you carefully before we allow any other foreigners. We did one guy, and he's been fantastic. He's been really great, honestly. He's been really, really good. I have to give him high praise. I'm surprised at how well he has done. We obviously expected him to do well, or we would not have offered him the room. But we talked about it, and we'd do it again. We'd do it again. It's a big deal bringing a foreigner into our little peaceful little corner of the village. It's a lot of social risk for me. Anything that they do would reflect directly on me. Like, oh my gosh, that's Rob's twin brother right there. We kind of all look alike to them. You get another guy that with light skin and a big bulky body, and like most of us Westerners look like, and it must be his twin. It must be his cousin, at least, right? So there's all that. So I had one lady snuck in, and it surprised me when it dawned on me finally. But she had a condo at the Change, and she had a condo in Pattaya, and she was really inviting me. She was inviting me, and I was in the process of thinking about going with her for like a weekend or something or whatever, in her condo in Pattaya. Gee, I wonder what we'd be doing there. And then Fawn pointed out, she's not just being your friend, that's a romantic thing. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, "Are you really interested in her?" And I'm like, no. The weekend sounded fun, though. Ultimately, I never went, but that was right where it was like, okay, this is a rotten deal. So the going in poor kind of did help me, and the guys that go real fast and throw around a lot of money, they are much more likely to crash and burn. Let me try and give you some tips on like how would you go in poor, how would you really do it. So, one, you never have to answer questions here. You'll notice when you ask a Thai person a question, this or that, and they don't want to answer, they don't make up an excuse. They don't lie. Typically, they just are quiet. They're like, "Yeah, I heard you, but I'm not talking." They just look at you, or they go back to sipping their coffee. They ignore the question completely. And you can do the same thing. That's allowed here culturally. And in the United States, that's rude. Here, that's apparently not rude, I guess. If you keep doing it, you're going to not be friends with that person. But if you have to keep doing that, you shouldn't be friends with that person. So one, you don't have to answer questions. So no one has any ability to know how much money you make unless you're blabbing about it. So I would tell you to be careful. What I do and what I recommend in my book is you set up a checking account in your home country. Have whatever pensions or things you're able to get. God bless you. I hope it's plenty. And have that deposited regularly or at your discretion or however you want to do it into that little checking account, and keep no other money in that checking account. You can get a debit card tied to that. Some banks have international debit cards that actually work. Most don't. Whatever. There's really good credit cards available. I like the Apple card. I love the security of that thing. I get the whole Apple security layer on top of the whole thing, and they're like, Rob, was this charge good? Bink, yep, that charge was good. That was me. I had one that wasn't me, and I'm like, no, they shut that thing down. I think they shut down the Western Hemisphere when I reported that. I mean, it was like done. It was awesome, honestly. It took me a while to get my new card because I'm here, but that was inconvenient. But no fraudsters got a penny of my money. So anyways, you set that checking account up, and then you're going to need to get a money transfer service like Wise or Remitly. I use both. Wise is in the middle of going through some new self-imposed regulation to report your income, so happy for them on that, but I may be switching to Remitly, or at least part-time. I don't want to move probably all my money with Wise anymore. They're the fastest and cheapest, but they're cheapest by a little bit, and I would like to stay off of all radars that I can. I'm not a zero footprint guy, and they're cool if people do that. I know I have friends that do that, and that's great, but I just don't want to be like putting a beacon on myself of how much I'm bringing over or what or when, and you can look up all the stories on Wise you want and see if you're happy with that or not. I'm not a digital expert, so I could be wrong. You check that out. So you want to do that. So no one has to know your money. You have your kind of phony baloney account. I call it. I mean, it's a real bank account, but just all it is a little shuttle account, I call it. And then you bring that money over here to your Thai bank account. You can have more than one bank account here. There's nothing illegal or wrong with or funny about that at all. I, in fact, have two bank accounts now because there's always threats to shut down bank accounts for foreigners, and Capricorn Bank is the friendliest to the Thai immigration police. I'm going to submit to you humbly that they are the authority in this matter. This is what they are, the top dog, right? And so I have a Capricorn account that's fairly new. I had a Bangkok bank account the whole time I was here. I still have it. They've threatened to close it on me once, never did. I keep a couple thousand baht, $60 in there just to have the account open. In case there's an emergency, I have at least a potential, maybe possible second way to get money here if I need. When I first got here, my banking wasn't set up, and that was another fun, stressful thing. Setting up banking with Rob. That was, oh gosh, that was so much fun. And then transferring, getting money over here. Oh, you're a money launderer. No, I'm retired, you idiots. I'm just trying to bring over a couple grand a month to live off of. How about that? Can I live? And man, that was real tough for a while. I had a real hard time. I was sending myself MoneyGrams, which is insanely expensive. And we use Western Union even a couple of times, and they're even more expensive than MoneyGram. I mean, those guys are criminal what they charge. That's really unethical, but they exist. And I had friends back home. I would use my little bank account I mentioned back home. I could use like a Venmo or Zelle. Zelle was better than Venmo in my opinion. And I could send them some money, and then they would MoneyGram or Western Union me money because I needed money to like pay for food and generally just live my life here. And it was, I'll tell you, it was touch and go for about 3 or 4 months. It was not an easily or quickly solved issue. It was very challenging. The money apps were going through some kind of regulation change or something at that time, and it was really funny. I'll also tell you the apps aren't the same. When you load an app in the United States versus here, they're different apps. They don't tell you. They're invisible to you. Hey, why would they bother to tell you, right? You're just the customer. But in my opinion, you should load up your apps in your home country. Do not load them up here unless you have no choice. Then if you have no choice, but if you can, load them in your home country. They are entirely different applications in your home country, and they work in your best interest, sir. You check that out for yourself. Enough about that. Unpleasant memories. And so no one's really going to know what you have, is my point. And you can always have your second account and have more money in that. But you have no reason. Do not be weak. Do not, like, anybody asked to see your account. That's a bad person. Move along. Don't change your bank account. Change the person. No one should know what you have. And the phrase that you're trying to get to in Thai is, I hate toning on a vlog because it's too much for my brain because I'm trying to vlog and then the tone takes all my focus. So hang on. It's Mingun Pa Chai. Mingun Pa Chai. That is, I have enough money to use. Now I'm not saying run around and say that, but I'm saying that's the mindset. And then you would just say, I have enough money to use for myself. And then if you put that in a translating app, it'll come back to Mingun Pa Chai. And then if you say that, that's like 100% clear to any Thai person. That's it. They get it. They know exactly what you're saying. So, that is the nugget of the mindset where you're going with this. And, generally, going in poor, great. Going in slow, looking a little more poor, and then we'll make you at a slower pace because you're not flying all over the country doing all this stuff, unless you tell somebody you're dating, look, I'm not jetting off to Chiang Mai or Phuket or Phuket's mostly kind of maybe not the best place these days. The Thai people don't like to go there anymore. So there's a hint. Krabi is better, whatever, which is near there. Try that. But you could do that, but instead of saying that, you can say, yeah, I've got to go into Bangkok and get my passport settled through the embassy or something. And then you go hop a flight and go do your whatever. That's fine. If you're dating, if you're married, that's not right to do that, to lie like that. But if you're just dating, all is fair in love and war, and I wouldn't worry about it. If you sort of self-impose some kind of discipline where you're living on maybe, 60,000 baht a month or something like that, or less, or something in that range, 70, whatever, something in that range, the real gold diggers will get bored of you pretty quick. If you're a simple guy at heart and you spend your time working out at the gym, doing your rehab or bodybuilding, or if you're fit enough to go do Muay Thai or just even learn some crappy Muay Thai. The key on Muay Thai gyms, if most of the customers are Western, maybe not a real gym. If most of the customers are Thai and they're speaking all Thai all the time, that's a real gym. Generally, that's just not guaranteed, but that's just one quick way you can tell, FYI. If you go somewhere and all the equipment's really crude and someone's beat the absolute living hell out of it and all the guys have legs like tree trunks, that's a real gym. Those guys are training to fight for a living. Don't fight them. They'll kick you in half. What else can I tell you about going in poor other than it's a fantastic idea? Just keep the Mingun Pa Chai thing, that I have enough to live, enough to use, phrase in your mind, because that's really where you're going. You don't want to go poor and say, oh, I'm so poor, I'm so crazy poor, because no woman really likes a broke guy. And that's not really who you are. Now you're really misrepresenting who you are, and you may end up with the wrong people that you don't really want to be with, so I'd be more careful. But generally speaking, on the other hand, my channel is all about how a guy can offer these other intangibles in a genuine, real, legitimate, two-way, fair relationship. And so again, back to my relationship with Fania, she saves face because I exist. I am here. I show up. I've shown up as half a life. Some coach somewhere taught me that in high school or something. And that was one of those little rare nuggets of advice that kind of sticks and that like helps your entire life. That was a good one. I do that. I help her. I show up on laundry day. I don't do laundry. Okay. But I help her. I drive the car. I'll help her unload the baskets and I pay for the laundry or whatever. And I'm always pushing her to use a service versus she wants to hand wash it all herself because she's an Isan woman and they don't take a lot of frivolous extras in life. They do everything by hand the hard way because that's how they were taught and that's just their culture. She still squats down on her heels in the side driveway. I poured some extra concrete for her. Had it poured. I don't pour concrete anymore either. And she prefers to go out there, and she won't take it if I offer her a washing machine to set up in the little area. I have a covered area with electricity all in the back for whatever she wants. It's just an extra area. We used to call it the boneyard at my old house in Michigan. And she won't take it. She just wants to wash it all in a plastic tub right there on the concrete, squatting down on her heels. And if it's at night, she gets scared. Thais don't generally like to be alone a whole lot. I'll sit out there with her. And sometimes I'm just sipping a bourbon, smoking a cigar, and I'm texting with a friend back home, or I'm just sitting staring at the staring at the sky or the stars. You cannot mix those words, and chatting with her a little bit while she does the laundry. It's just that kind of thing. What else do you get out of this? You won't always be able to spot all the scammers, but by going slow, eventually they reveal themselves. Oh, on that end, the whole point of going slow is to get rid of the bad people out of your life, the bad ladies. And some of them will get rid of themselves. They'll leave you. They'll just stop returning your texts or phone calls because they see you don't have a lot of money, and they're looking for a richer guy they can take advantage of, right? But the other benefit is this time where then you can tell who's who, right? And one way you can do that is by listening. Thais have a saying about themselves. It's not the nicest thing, but this is their saying about themselves, so I can repeat it here. They tend to speak before thinking. And it's very true. It's very true. There's an impulsiveness to their culture. At the stores, the expensive goods are up in the front, and the further you go into a lot of stores, things get cheaper, because a lot of people, the majority, I'm told, I couldn't say, come in and let's pick that first item, and they'll go take it and pay for it. And this impulsiveness and speaking before thinking, I've had several scammers eventually tell me they were a scammer. I mean, I think it's common. If you wait long enough, that's common. So this whole the big advantage is the slowness, and then you can do the work of listening and sorting out who is who. And in general, I'll tell you, this is a big thing in my book, but a little bit of it here is that a good Thai woman is stressed. They're stressful. Life is tough here. This is, it's not the third world. Geographically, it's not, but economically, it kind of is. And the good people here are stressed because they work very hard. Your average Thai woman and good working Thai man, they're working, probably typically 50 to 60 hours a week. They've got a boss that's very demanding. They've got customers that can be very, very unfairly demanding, especially at the premium shops. The new money here, they have a different saying for it. I forget what it is, but what we call new money back home, those are very, very arrogant people here, and really worthy to avoid. I just ran into, me and a friend were out, my buddy Davo, we were in Pak Chong for a long weekend, had a great time, and we're at one really fancy restaurant, and it was all kind of new money people, and they were really not friendly, not pleasant people to be around. One of my rare experiences of being around Thai people, not liking it, that was like that's only happened a handful of times the entire 5 years I've been here. That's really rare to have, but not the Prime 19, great restaurant. I'll put some in the bonus footage. Great plate, fantastic menu. Didn't care for the customers so much. Even Davo commented, and Davo was about the nicest human being on the planet. He goes, geez, Rob, he has this crazy Australian accent I can't copy, but it's pretty funny. And he's like, oh, Rob, these guys really aren't that friendly, are they? This by going in poor and then slow, then this allows you to do the work to sort things out. And you want to avoid all those people if you want what I have, which is what my channel is kind of about. If you want that authentic, immersive, caring lifestyle in your retirement, which has worked. I went from kind of zero to hero here on this whole thing. I mean, I was hurting. I was struggling in every aspect of my life. I was extremely unhappy 6 years ago when I was my last year back living in the U.S., and I love the United States. I love my home state. But my financial situation and health situation and romantic situation had all gone exactly south, all within a 24-month time span. And I was not liking that, and I was not thinking that was a whole lot of fun or very fair. So I went here, changed, learned a new language and culture, and made a success of it. I made a pile I got lemonade for days out of this. So, and you can have that too. But it takes work. This takes work, and it takes being careful and paying attention and looking and listening. So good luck. All right. I'll see you. See you in the next video. Thank you very much. I will start off with a little slideshow. This is my wonderful 1100 baht steak from Prime 19 in Pak Chong, along with a very nice draft beer. They had a German draft beer, I recall. It was rather nice. Here's a little shot. This is kind kind of like a smoking jacket sort of thing I have here, kind of a Thai style. That's one of the better desserts I've ever had in my life. That was an amazing chocolate, whatever it was. Here's just a shot right over my shoulder, right behind where Davo and I were sitting. I was here with my friend Davo. Here's the outside of the restaurant. Lovely, lovely place. Can't say enough about it. The service was good, not great. And then we continued on Daw Bai to Hot Beer House. Davo wanted to have a nightcap, and normally I never do that, but I thought, you know, what the heck, we're still alive. Here's a casual shot Davo took while we were taking a break before dessert and having a smoke.
This is Rob. Video's over. I'm closing my gate. But if you've been liking or subscribing, or and praise God if you've been a member of the channel, I really appreciate you. I appreciate everyone that watches. You have a great day.